Not everything vintage deserves a comeback. And when it comes to these tractors, trust us, they can stay buried forever. Today we're counting down the 13 worst vintage tractors ever made. Machines so flawed, frustrating, and flat out useless. Even the most die-hard collectors wouldn't want them in their barns. From underpowered engines that couldn't pull a trailer of hay, to mechanical designs that seem like engineering afterthoughts, these old-school disasters are infamous for all the wrong reasons. Some were dangerous, others were just plain dumb, and a few were so unreliable they made farmers consider going back to horses. Whether you're into tractor nostalgia or just love a good mechanical fail, this list is packed with breakdowns, blunders, and bizarre choices that left people shaking their heads. Buckle up as we fire up the worst of the worst and take a rough ride down memory lane. Number 13. The Upton 2WD tractor, despite its bold attempt to dominate the agricultural world with sheer size, ultimately stands as a misguided venture into excess. Its design leaned heavily on brute force rather than thoughtful engineering, resulting in a machine that was more cumbersome than capable. The two-wheel drive setup was a critical flaw, barely sufficient for general fieldwork and wholly inadequate in wet, uneven, or sloped terrain. It lacked the traction and flexibility that modern farming demanded even in its own time. Its massive frame, though impressive to look at, was ill-suited for real agricultural environments, often compacting soil and making it unusable in tighter or softer fields. The steering was notoriously unresponsive, with a turning radius more suited to highways than to row crops or orchard work. Powered by a large but inefficient engine, the Upton guzzled fuel and regularly overheated, adding to its growing list of operational headaches. Maintenance was a logistical challenge. Basic repairs were made difficult by the tractor's massive size and poorly planned component layout. Even seasoned mechanics found themselves wasting valuable time wrestling with a machine that seemed deliberately difficult to service. Operator experience was another afterthought. Minimal weather protection, harsh vibrations, and uncomfortable seating made long workdays exhausting. The controls were outdated and clunky, and visibility from the cab was poor, further reducing its practicality. Though it might have made a splash as a record-breaking oddity, the Upton 2WD failed to deliver where it mattered most: in the field, working efficiently and reliably. In hindsight, it symbolizes an era where engineering bravado overshadowed common sense, proving that size alone is no substitute for intelligent, user-focused design. Number 12. The Fordson Model F, while historically celebrated as one of the first mass-produced tractors, shows its age glaringly when judged by functionality and practicality. Introduced in the early 20th century, it was a bold step forward in mechanized farming, but it brought with it a host of problems that plagued users from day one. The steel wheels, standard on early versions, were a nightmare on hard surfaces and dangerously unstable on hillsides, causing frequent rollovers that injured or killed unsuspecting operators. Its lack of safety features was staggering by today's standards. No protective cab, no roll bar, and little thought given to operator comfort or ergonomics. The engine, while relatively simple, was also underpowered and temperamental, especially in cold weather, leading to difficult starts and frequent stalling. Overheating was a persistent issue due to inadequate cooling, and its kerosene-fueled setup required finicky starting procedures that slowed productivity. Maintenance was constant, with oil leaks and fragile components that seemed to wear out faster than they should. Steering was stiff and unrefined, demanding physical effort that made extended operation exhausting. The Model F was also poorly balanced, causing the front end to lift during heavy towing or plowing tasks. Although its affordability helped bring mechanization to many farms, this came at the cost of quality, reliability, and user safety. In practice, it was often more frustrating than freeing for early adopters, who had to endure breakdowns, difficult controls, and punishing rides just to eke out a day's work. The Fordson Model F may have broken ground historically, but as a working tool, it left much to be desired, serving more as a stepping stone than a sustainable solution for modernizing agriculture. Number 11. The Massey Ferguson 2000, introduced with high hopes of blending size and power for large-scale farming, ultimately fell short of expectations in several critical areas. While it boasted impressive dimensions and a bold presence, these attributes quickly revealed more drawbacks than advantages in daily operation. Its immense weight and rigid frame made field maneuverability cumbersome, especially in tighter or uneven terrain where agility was essential. The two-wheel drive setup, baffling for a machine of its scale, often left it slipping and struggling for grip under load, particularly in muddy or soft soil conditions. Powered by a massive V8 engine sourced from Caterpillar, it delivered brute force but lacked finesse. Fuel consumption was excessive, noise levels were punishing, and engine cooling was a persistent issue during extended work. Reliability was spotty at best, with recurring issues in the transmission and hydraulics that frustrated owners and mechanics alike. Even basic maintenance tasks were a challenge, as the sheer size of the machine and poor access design turned routine servicing into a time-consuming ordeal. Operator comfort, despite being a selling point, was underwhelming. The cab insulation was weak, vibration remained an issue, and visibility was compromised by bulky structural components. Controls were laid out in a scattered and unintuitive fashion, further slowing operation and adding fatigue to long days in the field. Its futuristic promise was overshadowed by outdated ergonomics and mechanical inefficiency, turning it from a symbol of innovation into a cautionary tale. In hindsight, the Massey Ferguson 2000's ambition exceeded its execution, proving that size and power mean little when usability, reliability, and practical design are left behind. Number 10. The Mahindra 4110 might try to position itself as a practical, modern utility tractor, but digging deeper reveals a machine that often underperforms under real-world demands. Marketed as a budget-friendly solution for small to mid-sized farms, its three-cylinder diesel engine can feel underwhelming when pushed. Low-end torque is lackluster, making heavy tillage or pulling implements a slow, drawn-out chore. The shuttle transmission is clunky and loud, with gear shifts that deliver more jolts than smooth engagement. Fatigue sets in quickly during long workdays. Although four-wheel drive is standard, it often fails to provide reliable grip in slick or loose soils, and even on level ground, the front end tends to wander under load. Hydraulics are weak compared to competitors in its class, leading to slow lift times and insufficient power for moderate implements. Farmers often end up manually adding ballast just to clear stability issues. The operator's platform is a lesson in minimalism. The seat is thinly padded, vibration is relentless, and the ROPS canopy offers little protection from wind or weather. Controls are simplistic to the point of being unintuitive. Levers are overly stiff in cold starts, and visibility around the sloped hood and narrow stance is surprisingly poor, complicating hitching and navigate tight corners. Maintenance access is another weak spot. While basic service points are reachable, deeper components like the cooling system and filter mounts are tightly packed, making even routine jobs a faff of shims and awkward angles. Mahindra's parts network, while widespread, can struggle with slow delivery times and inconsistent build quality, meaning downtime stretches longer than expected. In the end, the 4110 feels like a cost-cutting compromise, an unloved blend of box-ticking features rather than a cohesive tool thoughtfully designed for farmers. Instead of a dependable partner in the field, it too often reveals itself as a time-consuming annoyance that underwhelms both performance and comfort. Number 9. The John Deere 2010, despite bearing the iconic green and yellow badge, is widely remembered as one of the company's more regrettable missteps in tractor design. Released during the early 1960s, it was meant to be a leap forward in compact utility and performance, but instead it became notorious for mechanical issues, awkward design, and a laundry list of reliability concerns. One of its biggest failings was the engine. The four-cylinder power plant, particularly in the diesel version, was underpowered and sluggish under load, delivering lackluster performance in even moderately demanding tasks. Starting was a persistent battle, with cold weather cranking becoming an exercise in frustration. The engine sleeves were not replaceable, meaning costly overhauls when wear set in, a significant flaw for a machine marketed to hardworking farmers. The hydraulic system was equally problematic. Known for inconsistent pressure and poor responsiveness, it made loader work and implement operation inefficient and nerve-wracking. Steering, while advertised as power assist, often felt vague and unresponsive, requiring frequent correction just to stay on track. The transmission was clunky, prone to grinding, and lacked the smoothness found in competitors' models at the time. Visibility was subpar due to the tractor's awkward frame design, and the control layout was scattered and unintuitive, contributing to a steep learning curve and slow productivity. Routine maintenance was hampered by poor access to filters and belts, and parts availability became an issue as John Deere quickly moved away from this design in later models. Despite initial hype, the 2010 was riddled with build quality issues and odd engineering choices that left many farmers feeling let down. Instead of representing John Deere's innovation, it became a case study in how even the most trusted brands can misfire badly. For many owners, the 2010 ended up as an unreliable, high-maintenance tractor better left parked in the shed than relied on in the field. Number 8. The Farmal Cub, while nostalgically admired by collectors and vintage equipment fans, reveals many limitations when judged as a functional farm tractor. Its tiny 4-cylinder engine, producing barely double-digit horsepower, quickly proved inadequate for anything beyond the lightest chores, struggling with plowing, towing, or any implement demanding real torque. The offset engine design, promoted as Colti Vision for better row alignment, often compromised balance and stability, especially on uneven or sloped terrain, where the narrow front end increased the risk of tipping. It lacked a live PTO and live hydraulics, putting it behind even mid-century competitors in terms of field efficiency and implement control. The hydraulic system was weak and prone to sluggish operation, frustrating users trying to raise or lower implements with precision. The transmission was limited to just a few gears, making field adjustments awkward and slow, while the belt-driven PTO system offered inconsistent power and limited versatility with evolving equipment. Starting issues, especially in cold weather, were common, often requiring a choreographed ritual of choke adjustments and hand cranking. The operator area was minimal and uncomfortable, with a hard seat, poor weather shielding, and little thought given to ergonomics, making even simple tasks physically tiring. While compactness was intended to appeal to smaller farms or gardens, in reality, the Farmal Cub often felt more like an oversized lawn tractor than a capable piece of farm machinery. Though it holds charm today in its prime, it was more of a compromise than a cornerstone for any serious agricultural operation. Number 7. The Massey Ferguson 97 and Farmal Cub, though targeting opposite ends of the farming spectrum, both fall short in delivering truly functional and user-friendly performance. The Massey Ferguson 97, with its Detroit diesel engine, was a brute in power, but an outright nuisance in daily use. Its deafening noise, excessive fuel consumption, and constant vibration turned every workday into a test of endurance rather than efficiency. The engine, while durable on paper, was difficult to maintain and notoriously unfriendly to cold starts. Its massive frame made maneuvering awkward and impractical on all but the largest fields, and the ride was harsh and unrefined, with little regard for operator comfort or control. Meanwhile, the Farmal Cub tried to charm with its compactness, but its minimal horsepower, lack of live PTO, and outdated hydraulic system made it feel more like a novelty than a serious machine. Its offset Colti Vision layout, while marketed as innovative, created awkward balance and reduced stability on slopes, making it risky for inexperienced users. Cold starts were problematic, the few-speed transmission was limiting, and the lack of ergonomic seating and weather protection made even small tasks feel drawn out and tiring. Both tractors, though historically significant, highlight a lack of practical foresight, one too loud and cumbersome to manage, the other too weak and primitive to rely on. Rather than serve as reliable partners in the field, the Massey Ferguson 97 and Farmal Cub more often left users coping with compromises and frustrations that overshadowed their intended utility. Number 6. The Kletra HG, while often praised for its compact track design and historical role during World War II and post-war farming, falls considerably short when evaluated against long-term practicality, comfort, and efficiency. Originally designed as a small crawler for lighter-duty tasks, its narrow tracks and modest four-cylinder engine quickly revealed limitations that made it less than ideal for anything beyond very controlled environments. Its low ground clearance and rigid undercarriage led to a bumpy, jarring ride on uneven terrain, while the lack of a suspension system meant constant jolts transferred directly to the operator. An exhausting experience even during short sessions. The steering clutches, a hallmark of tracked vehicles, required frequent adjustment and were notoriously finicky. If neglected even slightly, maneuverability became sluggish or uneven, making tight turns more of a chore than a feature. Power delivery from its modest engine struggled under heavier loads, and although its track design offered traction, it was easily outclassed by more advanced crawlers or modern four-wheel drive tractors that delivered both speed and versatility. The open operator area was spartan and exposed, offering no protection from weather, dust, or debris, making it impractical for extended use in adverse conditions. Engine access for repairs, though somewhat straightforward, still required awkward contortions due to the compact design and cramped layout. Starting the machine, especially in colder weather, was often a laborious process, made worse by dated ignition systems and inconsistent carburation. Noise and vibration were constant companions, with little to no insulation or shock absorption for the operator. While the Kletra HG may hold historic or collector appeal today, in its working prime, it was very much a compromise, offering just enough to get the job done, but lacking the robustness, comfort, and flexibility needed for broader agricultural demands. For many users, it became more of a niche tool than a daily workhorse, proving that tracked utility doesn't automatically equate to real-world effectiveness. Number 5. The Deutsch DX160, despite its reputation as a solid mid-size tractor, has a surprising number of flaws that emerge under real-world conditions. Chief among them is its motto of mediocrity cloaked as versatility. Its six-cylinder engine, while robust on paper, is saddled with a tendency to run hot under prolonged heavy-load work, and fuel efficiency is mediocre for its class, making it more costly to operate than advertised. The air-cooled head's cooling fan is notoriously noisy, turning what should be routine fieldwork into a racket that wears on farmer confidence and operator endurance. The transmission, a purported highlight when first launched, is dull and clunky, with gear changes that demand more finesse than most users are willing to muster. Those frequent shifts during loader work or transport quickly become irritating. The hydraulic system, another heralded feature, is surprisingly underpowered. Lift times are slow, and the pump whines under moderate load, betraying its high-capacity billing. While the cab might look spacious, its insulation is thin, offering little respite from engine noise, wind, or weather. Operating long hours in summer or winter becomes a study in endurance rather than comfort. Vibration is a constant companion, with little suspension support for the seat or front axle, leading to fatigue and discomfort by the end of the day. The steering, while technically power-assisted, feels rubbery and indirect, requiring frequent corrections that take away from both comfort and precision. Routine maintenance is another sore point. The placement of key service items like filters and fluid reservoirs is counterintuitive, often tucked behind panels that require tools and time to remove. As a result, oil changes or hydraulic checks become more of a chore than a quick stop, encouraging skip service intervals that inevitably lead to wear and breakdowns. Spare parts availability, while not terrible, is inconsistent depending on region, forcing farmers to wait or pay premiums when unexpected failures occur. While the DX160 may offer a balance of features on spec sheets, in practice it is neither the powerful workhorse it claims to be, nor the comfortable cab tractor its marketing suggests. Instead, it oscillates between being marginally adequate and actively annoying, its weak spots overshadowing its strengths and making it a less than stellar choice for operators who demand reliability, efficiency, and user-friendly design. Number 4. The Minneapolis Moline G1355, despite its bold aesthetic and sizable frame, disappoints heavily when judged by functionality, reliability, and user comfort. Marketed as a durable and powerful utility tractor, Its two-speed power shuttle transmission often feels imprecise. Shifts are clunky and sluggish, causing frequent jolts in loader operations and reducing precision in the field. Its naturally aspirated six-cylinder diesel engine delivers respectable peak power, but torque is uneven and it runs hot under sustained heavy use, leading to cooling issues and fuel inefficiency that inflate operating costs. Vibration and noise infiltrate the cab, which, while spacious on paper, offers only thin insulation and lacks modern suspension, leaving operators weary and strained after a full day's work. Steering is overly sensitive at low speeds and too vague at higher speeds, making maneuvering unpredictable in tight spots. The hydraulic system, branded as high capacity, features slow lift response times and noisy pump operation, and it strains under even moderately sized implements. Visibility is hampered by bulky hood design, making implement hitching and row crop work awkward. Maintenance access is poor. Regularly changing filters or reaching fluid reservoirs demands removing panels and contorting under the hood. Simple servicing becomes a chore. Parts availability is spotty in many regions, turning small breakdowns into extended downtime. The G1355's rigid axle and lack of suspension exacerbate terrain impacts, and the heavy drawbar lift undermines its claimed versatility when dealing with heavier equipment. All these issues conspire to make the G1355 feel less like an all-purpose workhorse and more like a relic that prioritizes visual heft over functional design. Instead of excelling in any core area, power, comfort, handling, or ease of service, it delivers a muddled compromise that leaves operators wanting more. Rather than representing a step forward, the Minneapolis Moline G1355 exposes the risks of overpromised spec sheets outpacing thoughtful, field-tested engineering. Number 3, the Ford 6000, despite its ambitious introduction as Ford's flagship row crop tractor in the early 1960s, quickly earned a notorious reputation as one of the company's most problematic machines. Marketed with confidence and packed with forward-looking features like a Selecto-speed transmission, it unfortunately delivered more headaches than horsepower. The Selecto-speed itself was a major source of trouble, plagued with shifting issues, poor reliability, and expensive repairs. Operators complained about jerky gear changes, sudden lurches, and inconsistent power delivery, especially under load, turning what should have been smooth operation into a stressful, unpredictable experience. The early six-cylinder diesel engine, while promising on paper, was rough-running, hard to start in cold weather, and prone to overheating. Poor cooling design and a lack of refinement led to frequent downtime, and parts availability for this engine variant quickly became a challenge. The hydraulic system was underwhelming, delivering sluggish response and struggling with heavier implements, while the PTO engagement felt unrefined and clunky. The ride quality was harsh, with limited suspension and poor cab ergonomics. Operators were left battling vibration, noise, and discomfort during long workdays. Even visibility was compromised by an awkward hood design and bulky front-end structure. Routine maintenance was no breeze either. Fluid access points and filters were inconveniently located, and service intervals felt more frequent than practical. While Ford attempted to course correct in later revisions, the damage to the model's reputation was already done. Instead of representing a technological leap, the Ford 6000 became a cautionary tale about rushing innovation without thoroughly proving its durability. It stands today less as a milestone in tractor history and more as a reminder that even major manufacturers can misstep, trading operator confidence and mechanical reliability for experimental features that were just not ready for the real world. Number 2, the Porsche Diesel Jr 108, while visually charming and now cherished by collectors, leaves much to be desired as a practical working tractor. Designed primarily for small-scale agricultural tasks, its single-cylinder, air-cooled diesel engine is woefully underpowered, producing barely over 10 horsepower, rendering it ineffective for anything beyond the most basic garden or vineyard duties. The engine is notoriously loud, vibrates heavily, and delivers torque unevenly, making smooth operation nearly impossible. Starting the Junior 108 can be an exercise in frustration, especially in colder weather, where the primitive glow plug system and crank start setup often fail to cooperate. Its narrow track width and stiff suspension make for an unstable and jarring ride on uneven terrain, while the simple transmission offers very limited gear selection, forcing operators to either crawl slowly or overwork the engine at higher speeds. The hydraulic system is almost non-existent in functionality, with minimal lift capacity and slow response times that fall short for even mid-century implement demands. Operator comfort is clearly an afterthought. The metal seat offers no cushioning, the layout is cramped, and there is no shielding from heat, dust, or rain. Visibility is good only because the tractor is so minimal in design, but the controls are awkwardly placed and require constant fiddling. Maintenance access is not terrible, but the scarcity of original parts and the specialized nature of its components make servicing a time-consuming and often expensive task. While the Porsche badge adds a layer of allure today, the Junior 108's real-world utility is limited at best. It may look good at a vintage show, but in the field it was more a novelty than a truly capable or efficient farming tool. Number 1. The Chalmer's Model G, while visually distinctive, is more novelty than truly practical tractor. Its rear-mounted engine caused poor weight distribution, leaving the front too light and prone to traction issues, especially in uneven or loose soil. With only about 10 horsepower, the G struggled to perform even basic field tasks, and the lack of hydraulics meant lifting implements was entirely manual, tiring and inefficient. The gear range was minimal, limiting speed options, and cold starts were unreliable. Operator comfort was non-existent. A hard seat, open layout, and poor control placement made long jobs miserable. It lacked a PTO and had limited implement compatibility, reducing its versatility further. While it might charm collectors today, in its time, the Model G was an underpowered, uncomfortable, and impractical machine that couldn't keep up with evolving farm needs.